being the first to know information is very important. And the best way to get to know information, more so with business, very important, is by tuning in to Smart 24 TV all day, every day. And kickstarting your morning with Smart Means Business should be a key priority.
Should be always on your fingertip every day, every new day. And just remember that you can always catch us anywhere, anytime, and in real time by simply downloading the Your TV channel and watch Smart 24 TV right there in time. And it is always easier and simpler by simply downloading it using the MTN data or using MTN app.
Well, and with this particular hour, let's start it off with a business quote that is going to help you enlighten your vessels, your mindset,
and inspiring you,
so that you enter the weekend in fashion and also with a lot of energy. This one is coming in from Roy Ash, who says that an entrepreneur tends to bite off a little more than he can chew, hoping he will quickly learn how to chew it.
An entrepreneur tends to bite off a little more than he can chew, hoping he will quickly learn how to chew it.
Well, I think it is...
the major highlights around there is number one, the entrepreneur, and maybe there is hope, and there is a quick chew. Because let us compare the chewing together with the quick one.
He looks at the idea mainly. Like an entrepreneur, you need to look at an idea. You don't steal the whole of it. You need to make sure that out of the whole idea, you pick something out of it to create your own.
And in case you have created, you are well established. Now let us talk, because you are highlighting for the startups at least. And the ones who are well established, you have got maybe something set. Again, you have to pick a little bite of that success, which means that do not be extravagant or do not overuse what you have.
Or don't copy and paste. When you have a copy and
every
paste,
time we have twine chizibu. Someone was saying twine chizibu chava uncles, chava nephews, and so here's the thing. I have my company, and then the family. You know, this is Africa. Most Africans, we tend, to make sure that when my brother is successful, the family is successful. When I have got an auntie who is successful, the family is successful, which is okay at some point. But we overdo it at some point. Why? When Sonko has got a company, I tend to maybe overdwell or be over-dependent on Sonko as my uncle. So you find that is why they're highlighting. Do not pick up the bites so quickly. Even when you have worked for your sweat, but each time you're picking them out from extravagancy, control, you're ending up, or you're going to end up losing your game. So make sure you always limit on how you spend, limit on how you maybe doing your expenditures, and make sure you take risks, but risks that are calculated to make sure at the end of the day they're going to provide profitable ventures to your business back again.
Chew, but don't chew all of it. Chew a little bit of it. Now let's look at the business tips that can take you through the weekend, that can guide you to actually run your business ventures this weekend. And when you look at this one, is taking us through keeping financial scores. Few small businesses have an accurate idea of the daily, weekly, and monthly numbers and financial trends taking place within the organization. It's vital that you spend the necessary time keeping current on cash flow. If you lack the financial skills, hire an accountant, but still stay very much in the loop.
Very well. Basically, I'm learning that we have to embrace what we call maybe research, because if you don't invest in research, there is no way you're going to know about your financial trends or even other businesses' financial trends. So therefore, how do you keep in the loop? Make sure at least you do your research, right? And it's not just that the research has got to be involved with maybe a machine, you being on the computer, typing, what is Sonko's name, where is Sonko coming from? No, you can do observation. What is it? You can do observation with just your sight, and you're doing research. Did you know that?
Very true.
I'm already doing research on you.
Now this also applies to everyone.
Okay.
More so in life, you know, in social aspects, when you're pursuing, let's say, a woman to marry, you first do your research with that. You don't just
that
come.
research, Sonko, that you're talking about, for example. Do you go on a computer to
No, you
search
don't.
which kind of woman I want?
Surprisingly, lately, people first go on Google and say, I'm looking for a tall, dark skin. And then they give you pictures, and then from there, maybe you start to trace.
No, it starts within you. It starts within you. It has to start within you, what you want, on making sure you keep that cash flow incoming, and making sure you keep your stock very ready. Because at the end of the day, if you're tending to spend a lot or spend less, regardless of what you're doing really, and you're not being calculative in your business, simply because sometimes the quote is highlighting, you may not be knowing what you're doing, but again, you cannot do it alone, remember. There is always, there has to always be someone close to you, next to you, that can help you out. For example, Sonko, you're good at some things that I'm not good at. So when you're not good, when you realize you need a service from me, why don't you tell me and I help you out? So it is always a hire and game. It is always a research and find game, so that you keep your incoming flow and also keep in the loop.
There are very many services that a man would need from a woman, and well, it is a Friday anyway.
You're in a Friday mood. It's a Monday, but I'm in a Friday mood.
Did you know that if at all your phone happens to be stolen, it becomes fake?
I didn't know that.
That is according to the law regarding counterfeit in terms of communication gadgets. And with this particular report that we do have for you coming up next, is taking us through substandard communication devices. As Uganda Communication Commission and the Anti-Counterfeit Network Africa have engaged stakeholders on the effects of using fake gadgets. During the high-level dialogue on substandard communication devices and electronic waste, the government and the Anti-Counterfeit Network Africa engaged different stakeholders from the private sector on the impact of the substandard items that are on the Ugandan market. In line to fight the counterfeit and substandard products, government plans to educate as well as sensitize Ugandans about the counterfeit and the substandard products on the market. These being electronic devices like phones, computers, so that they can enforce the law to fight the vice. You may be holding your iPhone, but it may be fake. Take a look at the details here.
Uganda has a big number of people buying and using fake communication devices because they are cheaper and easily accessible compared to the genuine ones. Presenting on the legal risks attached to using substandard devices and electronic waste, Counsel Fred Moema, the head of legal and corporate affairs at the Anti-Counterfeit Africa, says it should be noted that being in possession of a stolen phone, one should know that once a phone is stolen, then it is deemed a fake product.
As a lawyer, I'll tell you that ignorance of the law is no defense. So if you don't know what the law says that is fake, you'll be caught. And then you have to pay me to get you out. So, according to the regulations, the SIA, what I'll call the SIA, a stolen phone, though it is originally genuine and original, it becomes fake. It becomes counterfeit. If you go back to the definition of counterfeit communication apparatus that I showed you, you'll see that in the definition, if the IMEI is cloned or stolen, then that becomes a fake. The question again might be, but if my phone had an original IMEI number and you steal it, does the IMEI number become fake or cloned? If you ask me, I'll tell you it becomes fake, because an IMEI number, when you go to register or to buy your phone, is given to you as Fred, specific to you. So the number is attached to you. So if you now present yourself as Tom and you take Fred's IMEI number, it amounts to cloning or faking. That is my argument.
Godfrey Baluku Kabyanga, the State Minister for National Guidance, says that this dialogue was set to get in touch with the private sector and the key players that will enforce fighting counterfeit off the market, and he notes that with this dialogue, they are trying to strengthen the power of the consumer as well as protecting him from buying counterfeit.
A dialogue of the willing, people who want to fight counterfeit and substandard goods. And we as government, we have all the laws which can facilitate us to fight counterfeit. But enforcement has been very, very difficult. But also, most of our laws, we have not gone out there to talk about them, to sensitize the people about these laws so that they understand them. Sometimes when you enforce a law which people don't understand, they fight you. But we as government, we have been talking. But every time you talk, they say, well, those are government people. Now here we are in a dialogue of civil society, non-governmental organizations, we are with government agencies, we are with the private lawyers. Like you have seen what Kaso Muema was presenting. He broke down the law and made it very simple. Probably me as a politician, I wouldn't have broken it in such a way. But for him, he's an expert in that. He has broken it down. He has made it very simple to understand. And I think if we partner with him, he goes on radio, he goes on TVs, he goes in churches and mosques and tell the people that this is what the law says. They will understand. Then later on, our UCC, Uganda Communication Commission, Uganda Bureau of Standards and Customs can now swing into action to ensure they stop this and arrest anybody who is found with a fake phone. But someone has to understand, what is a fake phone? What does it look like? Is it a crime to buy a fake phone? I also didn't know that probably a stolen phone is a fake phone because now it is now Kaso Muema who is teaching me that you see a stolen phone is a what? A fake phone. So all those things the population needs to understand. So this dialogue is very important. It is a partnership which we are going to use seriously and see how we can stamp out fake phones and substandard phones. And then we also want to strengthen the consumer association so that the consumer has powers to move things. But otherwise, our consumers here are still weak. They don't have a joint effort. They don't have a joint voice. So I think what we are also going to do, I think in this dialogue, is to come up with a resolution to strengthen the power of the consumer.
Joseph Chizito, Head of Consumer Protection at Uganda Communication Commission, who was representing the Uganda Communication Commission's ED, Irene Kagwase-Wankambo, said that this dialogue is to engage the stakeholders in order to create room to eliminate counterfeit and substandard communication devices off the market.
The dialogue we're holding today is a consultative dialogue aimed at collaborating on our project of eliminating substandard communication devices. These are either phones, tablets, or any other device that is used for communication. So what we're doing here is engaging the private sector players, importers, distributors, network operators, to ensure that we have a discussion. We're engaging, it's called part of the stakeholder engagement. Now, to eliminate the counterfeit or substandard phones at the Uganda Communications Commission, we developed a roadmap that will actually take us to a point where substandard phones can no longer operate in our country. But to get there, we've decided to do it in 3 phases. One, where we go through a consultative process, we engage different players, like the importers, like other regulators, like enforcement bodies, and civil society, to get their views, and so that we have the most effective way, and we get stakeholder buy-in, and to ensure that people understand what we're trying to do as a UCC. Then after that, or while we're doing that, we're doing a lot of sensitization on the digital platforms, in the media. You'll see us in the one-on-one engagements. We're doing a lot of sensitization, so the end user, the consumer who's being hurt by this menace of substandard phones, understands what we're trying to do, and also we equip them with the power to know what they should do before they buy a phone, because a phone is no longer that luxury thing for calling and texting and social life only. No, you're doing commerce there, you're doing education there, you're keeping your money there. It's your identity, it's identified with you. So it is important that you have a genuine phone. It's important that if your phone is stolen, it's rendered useless, that even if the phone is stolen, your money is safe, your data is safe, your details, your pictures, your messages are all safe. So the mechanism to get in there is to make sure we have authentic phones, genuine phones that we can track and say this phone was manufactured by manufacturer X, it belongs to gentleman or lady Y, and Z. So what we're doing right now is to consult, engage, so to get to understand, educate the masses. When the time comes, and also purposely mainly today, we're engaging the importers, the traders, the private sector players. So that if you go out there to import phones, please understand that you get phones that will work in Uganda. Don't bring a consignment here. After you paid all the taxes, you've injected your capital, the phones get here and they can't operate. So we're educating them that before you go out there to import, go through a process, bring a sample, UCC type approves it based on our type approval regulations of the Uganda Communications Act of 2013, and then while you bring your phones, you bring phones that are compliant. So it's a lot of engagement and consultation that we're going through. We have the powers, we have the tools, we have the law on our side, but we cannot do that before we go through all these processes of talking to everybody and educating everybody.
Joseph Chizito further reveals that they are addressing issues to engage the consumers on the dangers of using fake gadgets vis-a-vis genuine ones, and the response from the public will determine whether UCC will switch off fake phones and leave only genuine phones on market.
We are not talking about switching off right now. We are trying to address the issue of demand, the dangers of using a fake phone and versus the benefits of using a genuine phone. So while the progress with which we engage and people understand and the consumers, the public respond, the rate at which we progress on that angle will determine what we do next. Of course, we are supervised, the minister was here, we are supervised by ministry, by the government. It will depend on the progress of the phases we are doing today. So right now, we're not talking about switch off. We have the capacity to switch off, but we're not going to discuss switch off right now. We're talking about engagement and stakeholder consumer education. So right now we cannot talk about switch off. We don't even know the date. We'll have no penalties. It's just that if you don't do due diligence to ensure that the equipment you're bringing here, the devices or the phones you're bringing here, are compliant, the self-punishment is that the networks will not pick them, because the network is designed in such a way that it will have to pick only compliant phones. So for us, we have no penalties, we have no punitive measures. You bring your phones, you'll have punished yourself. And that's why we're making sure that the consumer is protected through education, us educating them. So that at the demand side, the public is aware on what is going on and they know the steps to take. If you bring fake equipment and it doesn't connect, that will mean that your phones will not sell.
The world today has about 6 billion people using communication devices, which is 83.72% of the entire population.
Sounds of Gloria Mbabazi bringing you the details regarding fake phones, fake devices and all that. And issues to do with sensitization. Government says it's going to lay strategies to sensitize masses and it's going to use individuals from religious leaders, local leaders to make sure people understand the effects of using fake phones.
So when you educate the mass, when you sensitize the mass on the use, I do not know, he's talking to us about, they're going to educate about the use of, the disadvantage, that maybe differences that are there on fake and genuine phones. To me, that concern is, techirete babbi on board again. Because here you're now trying to educate, because you will never know who is going to steal the phone or who is the genuine person. So you're bringing to us knowledge on the advantage that is there or the disadvantage that comes along with having a counterfeit phone or a stolen device, and the fact that it is out there already highlighting that a stolen phone is a counterfeit. It's like it's a normal thing. It's like it's not a crime stealing a phone. And I actually believe, according to how it's being reported, they should also tackle the issue of prices of these phones, because the reason as to why we have a lot of what they call fake phones on the market is because they come at a cheaper price. Believe me, if at all I want a Samsung of let's say any brand, and I want it at 1 million,
and someone brings me the same brand at 500,000.
I disagree,
you won't
Paul,
blame
at
me.
some point with you. At least he was highlighting that even the expensive phones, even the one, because Sonko, you might have your expensive
Your
phone.
expensive
It doesn't
phone.
matter as long as it's stolen. That's the
It becomes
counterfeit.
fake.
As long as you've gotten that phone from United States, from Arab Emirates, from anywhere you have bought it from, and it's really original, whether it's Apple, whether it's Android, and Rita comes and I'm not a thief.
And even the
I'm not a
expensive
thief.
ones
I'm giving
seem to be fake also.
I'm giving an example. I steal it from you. It doesn't matter. Maybe expensive phone become well, it doesn't matter. So it becomes fake again. And here is the concern.
In just a space of a minute.
And then here is the concern. To whom does it concern that it's a fake phone? I mean, when I steal it, am I using a fake product? To me, I've stolen an original product. I get back into use. So the gap is that how is government authorities towards these insecurities going to bond it or mitigate that space that is there between you, who has safeguarded your item or your equipment, and Rita, who has stolen it? There is that gap there that I want at least to be bridged, not just going to the masses, educating them. I mean, that there is when they have stolen your phone, it's a fake one. So what? I'm not caring about Sonko stealing my fake phone or what. This is a device that I need. It is a device that has caught my ideologies. It has my account. It has my messages. It has my money. And he was highlighting the safetiness that is coming along, that we have to be conscious when it comes to maybe money banking around our phones, mobile money usage. For example, there are people who save money on their phones. At least you might have money on your phone. And when your phone is stolen, I give an example, a scenario in my case. They have ever taken my phone, stolen my phone. But within a blink of an eye, to realize MTN is sending me a message, I have a date to clear. You get. And I wasn't remembering I got any loan. So he went to my Momo account where I do my savings from, withdrew that money. I do not know how they accessed that, withdrew the money. After that, went ahead to borrow again. You get. So I entered into double debts or even triple debts that I had to encounter there. And to me, these are some of the questions that are still meandering in my mind, or being cautioned there, and I do not see the answer as of yet. So to me, if government could try to bridge that gap around there, because Sonko, would you really care if whether the phone is fake or it's original, and as long as it's having your information? Well, what would you take?
Well, one, we all love original things. What I would mind greatly is how effective.
When your phone, okay, what would you mind when your phone is stolen? What is that you would mind to be in system?
Oh, by the way, on a very serious note, once a phone is stolen, people always think of mainly two things. One, your SIM card.
Going to the police, report, replacing the SIM card.
Even before even looking at you first imagine how many steps you're going to take to replace that SIM card. Then secondly, maybe your documents. Because now things are digital, you have your emails on there, you have a lot of sensitive information on your phones. And I think those are the main two things that worry most of the people.
And
so,
now they shouldn't be worried, actually. They shouldn't be worried, because if you're able to use a smartphone, you could seek knowledge, because now there is at least systems whereby you have to back up. You have to back up. If you're using your smartphone right now,
but that also goes back to
you
the
have
type
to save
of phone you're using. If it's fake, then it may not bring out the goodness you would want of it.
Okay.
But when you also look at the issue here, the issue to do with the phone being fake after being stolen is to do with the law governing counterfeit. So it's because of the law. That is why it's Council Fred Muema who comes out with that. And that is according to the law. Once a phone is stolen, it becomes fake.
How does it help me? How does it help me?
If you bought it originally and it was from the original manufacturer, but once it is stolen, now it is a fake product.
Okay, if government comes out to say, here is the deal. If there is going to be a tracking system, which is still lacking around the country, that when you get your phone stolen, after you have reported to police, or there is a device, or there is a number, there is maybe a device that you follow, or there is a number you report with to the police, and that number is going to be followed until they track down your phone. You get, to me, this is what I would mind, I would care about. I mean, I don't feel like that many Ugandans would care whether the stolen phone becomes a counterfeit. I mean, what they care about is, how do I get that phone back? How do I get my phone back? You get. So if government would come out to say, okay, this is what we are doing, we are creating out numbers, we are creating out maybe signatories that in case Sonko loses your phone, you go and present a certain number to the police, or you go to the wherever located area, present that number, they enter it in the system, they're able to track down back your phone and give it back. Whereas that's not happening. We have dealers where they just snatch your phone, go to NASA Road or go to anywhere, and then flash the phone. Every information is lost. And even when you try to trace it, nothing you're going to find. So that gap there is maybe what I would wish to see government trying to address around there.
All right. And we do wish government carries on with the sensitization, because government says it's going to use the local leaders as well as religious leaders to make sure that they sensitize. They
tell people to stop stealing phones.
No, they give them, they teach them the law regarding counterfeit and all that. And for the religious leaders, I do believe as well, they'll be trying to urge Ugandans to avoid the act of stealing. It's against the 10 Commandments. Yes, do not steal. Thou shalt not steal. Let's go into a break. When we do return, we'll look at the weather updates as well as more business reports coming your way.